Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this beautiful, rainy spring change of weather. We didn't miss winter, summer. This is spring. Okay, and welcome to the May 5th General Regular City Council meeting. And would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Here.
Councilmember Maloney?
Here.
Councilmember Schmischer?
Here.
Councilmember Stein?
Here.
Councilmember Tracy?
Here.
Councilmember Worthington?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Here.
Mayor Troutman?
Here. Could I have Bradley Buck to the podium for the invocation? Would you rise, please?
Father, I want to thank you for the mercy and grace that you offer us through the Lord Jesus Christ. I want to thank you for the breath in our lungs today, for creating this day for us to enjoy and to walk with you. I want to acknowledge your power and your authority and pray that you will be honored here tonight, that wisdom and peace and the well-being of our city will prevail in the decisions that are made. Thank you for inviting us to ask you for wisdom. We recognize that you know all things. And so we look to you for help, and thank you for these servants who have offered to serve our city. And I ask that you will be with them in their decision making. Thank you, Father, for hearing us. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you. And that was Bradley Buck of the Bridge to Life Assembly of God Church. I didn't mention that. Thank you, Bradley. So we have a long agenda tonight. And at this point, we have several people who would like to speak to council. And as I call your name, you come up and introduce yourself. We have a timer. You get 3 minutes. Of course, there's like a red light. It starts green, yellow, and red. Red, we would appreciate if you stopped and let everybody else talk. So the first one tonight is Rick Retzloff. Come on up, Rick.
I'm here tonight. I spoke with Amy a while back at a crime thing down at the theater about our front yard fences only being 3 foot tall and 50% see-through or open. And she told me to do a petition and get some signatures, which I did. So I need to give this to whoever.
Yep.
And the other thing I want to bring up is, when are we going to get a judge here? Because the city judge is a magistrate, and it's a conflict of interest. He works for you guys. None of us can do anything about him. We can't file a complaint on him or anything. And it's like you guys are just handing money to him, and he's making you money, because I pulled up about 30 cases against the city that he's ruled on, and he's ruled for you guys every time. And this is a big conflict of interest. We need a judge here that we can hold accountable if they're not doing their job. And him just working for you guys, and you guys are only controlling him, is not okay. We need to get a judge in here. Ever since Marshall's been gone, Larry Allen's been in there, and he's doing a terrible job. He favors you guys, and we need to do something about it.
Okay, well, thank you, Rick. We'll ask our legal department, okay? Justin Scott. Where's Justin? Come on up, Justin.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Justin Scott, and I wanted to speak to you about the Firearms in Public Spaces ordinance that was discussed a couple months ago. And I brought props for fun. I think all of you probably recognize this as a hammer. You probably saw your grandmother at some point holding one, using it to hang a picture. You've probably seen it hanging in the tool belt of a carpenter. And in those positions, it is very unintimidating. But if someone were to threaten you with a hammer, that would be intimidating. We recognize it as a potential weapon at that moment. This is a pruning saw, sort of thing I use to prune apple trees. Pretty innocuous when someone's out pruning an apple tree with it. If someone were to run at me, threatening me with one of these in their hand, I would be terrified because I know just how sharp and dangerous it can be. My understanding is the proposed change to the firearms ordinance failed because some members of council find firearms intimidating. And I concede that that is true. On one hand, it is good, and on another, it is not. Part of the reason firearms are intimidating is because we have lost the normal context of firearms in the possession of individuals. Up until 1969, in the city of New York, on the public transit system, teenage boys habitually carried rifles back and forth to school. Every school in New York, every high school, had a competitive shooting team. And it was normal at that time for people to be seen on public transit with firearms. But context has changed, and now firearms are not as common. That is solved by seeing them in a proper context. On the other hand, firearms are intimidating, and their being intimidating is actually a good thing when they are intimidating in the right way. Anyone who's contemplating attacking someone with a hammer, or a saw, or a rock, or a stick, or another firearm is intimidated by the presence of someone with a firearm. They recognize the potential that they may be violently opposed, and that's a good thing. We need to fix our ordinance. It would be a great shame if the city of Canyon City became embroiled in a Title 18 lawsuit for deprivation of rights under color of law because we haven't fixed our unconstitutional ordinance.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Keith Johnson. Come on down, Keith.
Hello, I'm Keith Johnson, and I'm not going to be able to better Justin Scott on what he had to say, but I will read a one-sentence message to you. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I'm sure you've heard that lots of times. It's part of the Constitution. It's the Second Amendment to the Constitution. That's what we all live by. And the main reason for that amendment is to protect the people from, number one, government, number two, personal safety, to protect themselves, their family, their property when it comes to people aggressing with saws, hammers, knives. Knives are included in the description of an arm. So you're going to have to outlaw knives, forks, spoons, everything else if you're going to refuse to let the people of this city keep and bear arms. You're going to turn lawful, law-abiding people into criminals. Because I know a lot of people that are saying, yeah, no, not going to happen. I'm going to defend myself. And that is covered under the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. That was never covered. We went ahead and talked about open carry in certain places. We weren't banning any gun whatsoever. So that's wrong.
Last I heard was that there was a vote to limit,
No,
to restrict.
no, that's not true. That's not true. Open carry in certain public places.
Certain public places.
Yes.
We have a certain right to maintain.
I realize that too, but you don't have your facts right. Okay. Is it Becky Javernick and Sherry Knight?
Hello. Thanks for letting me speak for a minute here. I have Driftwood and Clay across the street, and it's
Excuse me, you have what?
Driftwood and Clay
Okay.
across the street here.
Okay.
And we met with several business owners not long ago, and we talked a little bit about the construction and the impact that it's had on our businesses. And so Sherry and I came to represent the group. I thought maybe you guys wanted to hear some numbers. I know that sales tax is down in general here in town, but my sales from February till now are $40 shy of $20,000 below what it was last year. That's a pretty big impact. I do appreciate those of you that have come to see me and the other businesses downtown to try and see what can do to help. It's going to be really great when it's done. I'm looking forward to it being done. But there were, Sherry's going to talk about some of the concerns that some of the other business owners had too. And what else? I think that's about it.
Okay. There has been some question about maybe a walking plan, people being able to get across the street during the construction of the road. We've seen many people trying to maneuver the construction and several people falling down. Business owners are curious, who's liable for that if someone does get hurt? Is the city liable for that? Are the business owners who they're falling down in front of? Is that a concern that you've discussed? Because there's no safe ways unless they walk many blocks to get to a certain part and back down. What else?
I think the vehicles are.
The vehicles, yeah, the construction vehicles and parking. We currently now have very limited parking along the west side of our building. I pulled up there on Wednesday and it was completely full of construction vehicles and their tools. We couldn't park even on our extra parking area. And how, as a business owner, do we mitigate that? What kind of help is available to keep the construction vehicles off the very small parking we do have now? And
That was brought up by some of the other businesses also, that, construction vehicles taking up 2 spots at times, instead of parking in the spot. And I get they have to park somewhere, but maybe a little bit more mindful about being right in front of the limited parking that we do have in businesses.
yeah, and it wasn't just their vehicles, it was their tools. There was a plow, a drill plow, a big, another plow, and then the vehicle. And that was 40 feet of construction things, and it's causing an impact to us because people cannot get to our business.
Last thing I want to mention, and this doesn't have to do with construction, but the banners that the art committee put together are beautiful. And I really hope that there's a way that those that project can continue to move forward. There's a lot of volunteer time put into that. I think there's a way to make it so we can go first to 9th. If maybe there's 2 banners per block or something, instead of doing full banners on the whole block, we can figure out what goes in between there. But I think it's a really cool project, and it was
Yeah.
well done, so.
Yeah, we'd like to see them on First, because it's been a long time since there's been a business at First. And we like to think, Main Street now starts at First and goes up. So any help we can have with the advertising to get there would be
Okay.
helpful.
Yeah, that subject's coming back up, and we would probably do a little bit more diligence with construction, parking in regular areas. We're taking note of that.
And I also want to say thank you to those who worked on putting together a map. I don't know who's been working on that, but a map of the parking for downtown, so,
Sure.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Michael Tracy. Who's Michael? Come on up, Michael.
First of all, thank you for your time. My name is Michael Tracy, no relation to anybody. I live out in the county, but I bank here, I shop here. It's a county seat, so I'm claiming some standing. I moved out here from Illinois about 10 years ago to get rid of the insanity in Illinois. I went from the mental health clinic to the snake pit. I don't know what the heck's happening to this state, but it's goofy. So I'm asking you to keep Fremont County free. If the rest of the state wants to go nuts, okay. And Mr. Mayor, in rebuttal, shall not infringe. Asking me to tuck my firearm under my coat is infringement, especially in July and August. Thank you for your time.
Good point. Okay, Margaret.
You're not.
What? Old age. Margaret Foki? Faggy? What? Peggy. Oh, there you are, Peggy. Maggie. Well, let's rename her.
No.
Come on, Maggie.
No.
Does that work?
That'll work.
All right, Maggie.
Okay.
You got 3 minutes.
All right. My name is Maggie, and I like to talk about the 2 arcades in Canyon. One of which is called Lucky Stars. It's on the highway by the old Quality Inn. I don't understand why or how they're legal. The place down there is open from 2 until midnight, 7 days a week. They have 2 fish tables, which are
Maggie,
considered
Maggie,
What?
would you please talk into the microphone a little bit better? I'm
I will.
a little hard of hearing.
Is that better?
That's
Okay. They have 2 fish games, which are considered games of skill, and they have about 15 slot machines. They apparently they pay, if a person wins down there, they pay $600 per person per slot per night. So if you win $800, you would get 600 of it the first night, and you'd have to come back for the remaining 200 the next day. The other one is called Mad Skills Gaming something or other. It's in the old Caldwell Banker building. They're open from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m., again, 7 nights a week. And they have the same kind of setup. They have 4 fish tables and about 6 slot machines. And I don't understand how they get around the gambling thing, because they are gambling. I mean, fish machines are, I guess, considered games of skill because you have to shoot the fish. And I guess that's a skill. But the other ones are slot machines, and they pay out, and they're not social gambling. It's not charitable gambling. They're slot machines. So I don't understand why and how they exist, and I would like to know that. So if that could be clarified at some point.
Were you lucky when you were in there?
I don't gamble. I mean,
But is that, we should take that probably with our attorney, or I don't know.
Yeah, we have chief here, and the city attorney may have a comment on it as well. I know Lucky Stars is actually not in the city limits, it's in the county.
no,
So
it is in the city limits. I checked, they pay taxes, they're in the city limits.
yeah, Lucky Stars,
They tell everybody they're not in the city
the little
limits.
strip mall out by the Abbey,
Yeah,
that is in the county.
it's in the city.
No.
I checked the tax records. Well, it's not what the city administration building is telling me. I mean, I went down and checked, because they're telling people that they're not in city limits, but I went down there They're listed in the tax records.
We can double check it, but that is not in the city limits. We would have to talk to the county assessor's office.
Okay, well, according to the city, they are. So, but Bad Skills is certainly within city limits. In city or county, gambling is, well, Lucky Stars is, when I went down, they told me they pay taxes. When I went to the city administration building, that's what they told me, and that they were in city limits. And that was probably 3 months ago, unless it's changed, which maybe it has.
I don't think that whole complex out there is in the city. That was a flag lot that got
No,
out the frontage
well-
road to get to Walmart. But I understand that you
Right.
got that from the assessor. Tim?
I just have a question. Is it just a plain old normal slot machine?
Yes, from what I understand, yes. And the Mad Skills one, the one that's in the old Caldwell Banker building, is certainly within city limits, and they have the same type of setup.
Yeah, and I don't know, Chief, are you aware of that one going on?
Well, and can I just interject? I just want to say, just because of gaming history, I mean, if it's actually like a true slot machine, that is illegal in the state no matter where it is, unless it's in one of the 3 gaming towns or on the reservation down in southern Colorado.
That is correct. If it is a game of chance as opposed to a game of skill, that is regulated by the Division of Gaming and I don't know the circumstances of this particular
Yeah, I don't,
arcade, but certainly if it is truly a game of chance as opposed to a game of skill, it should not be in Canyon City.
it seems like something regarding its legality is tied up within the payout limits per night, although the nuances of it are not clear to me, the $600 per person per machine. So that seems to be an important part of it, although I don't know how or why that is.
Yeah, and we've got the police chief standing right behind you, ma'am. If you don't mind him to come up to the microphone, please.
I agree. I don't believe that's in the city. There are some reports out there in particular venues. I don't want to identify anything. They're all active investigations.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, the first one that she mentioned, I believe, is in the county. The second one, I believe, is in the city limits, and there's
I
some
didn't even hear the
active
second one.
investigations going.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And, excuse me, I mean, just if it is gaming, then obviously as we said, the Colorado Division of Gaming will be involved with this, correct? I would imagine, just
I
from
would
past
hope
history.
so, but I don't know.
Right.
They certainly have jurisdiction, as do local
Right.
law enforcement if it's unlawful gaming.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Tim used to run a casino. No,
And,
no,
and
not here.
not in Canyon.
That's why he came with the cuffs on. So, ma'am, those apparently, without saying anything more, are under some investigation.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're down to we invite city council members to make any offers or any comments. Emily?
I wasn't sure if my button would work here on the box because it was kind of falling apart when I got here.
You have pushed the right button.
All right, we got it to work.
All
A couple
right.
of things, if I might. Wanted to mention in regard to the Lincoln Park Cotter Community Advisory Group. As I've said many times before, the group meets every month except December on third Tuesdays, usually at 3 in the afternoon. We meet both in person and by Zoom. The next meeting is May 20th at 3 p.m. The in-person meeting is at the PCC Fremont campus in a classroom there. If anyone's interested to attend, please join us. We'd love to have more people involved from the community. I want to mention also that a really important document was filed in the last couple of months by Cotter Corporation. That it was, the purpose of it was to determine where new environmental testing would take place in neighborhoods near the Cotter Corporation uranium mill, former uranium mill site. The Community Advisory Group itself submitted about 19 pages of comments at the deadline on April 25th, and about 8 attachments to those 19 pages. Overall, I would just say that the community members who are active on this site are very concerned that many, many things have been left out of this draft document. There's very little proposed new testing, none in areas like Dawson Ranch, none in town of Brookside. And without going into too much detail, I would just say that it's important for the state and federal regulators on this site to understand that this community cares what happens and that things get cleaned up, identified and cleaned up. So we need help on this. There's just a very small group of us who are reading these intensive, long, technical documents and writing comments on them. On a different note, unrelated, I wanted to mention too that on April 28th, and others were here, others who are here also were at this meeting, the city's Energy Advisory Committee met with some folks from Pueblo. The city of Pueblo had reached out to us some weeks ago, so the mayor of Pueblo, the public works director of the city of Pueblo, and the chief of staff of the city came and met with the Energy Advisory Group to talk about kind of what they're trying to do in regard to the high cost of power and the situation with Black Hills Energy. They had, several years ago, they had a feasibility study done about what would work to try to do something different. They did a new study just a few months ago, which focused mostly on what the city of Pueblo itself could do. That study came back saying that it wasn't feasible for just the city to try to do something. But since that came out, they've been reaching out to other communities in the Black Hills Energy Service territory to just communicate about, you know, what can we do long term. So I just wanted to let you know that. I think they do have, the city of Pueblo has an election tomorrow to gauge what the people of Pueblo would like to do in regard to their franchise with Black Hills. But regardless of however that election comes out tomorrow, I think that the city council over there, the Pueblo City Council, will make a decision one way or another in the next several months whether to try to get out of their existing franchise with Black Hills. So just wanted to give a bit of an update on that, and I don't know if Ryan or Kathy or anyone else wants to add more to that. That's all.
Thank you, Emily. Tim?
Well, on the lighter side, I just want to say that this past weekend turned out fantastic. I want to thank all those involved on the Blossom Committee, everybody working in the parks, the parade, and even the rodeo. Both nights at the rodeo were fantastic. And I just wanted to say, you know, just shout out to everybody who worked on it, all the volunteers. You know, thank you. It's a great thing for our community.
Amy?
Thank you. I just wanted to flag for the citizens of Canyon City that we have 2 special district elections tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. down at the Rec District building for both the Rec Board as well as the Fire Board. That's at 575 Ash Street, the Rec District headquarters.
Thank you, Amy. We also have a general government meeting Wednesday, and no URA, and the agenda will be the 2A?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? I thought the parade was great. I thought that Blue Thunderbird was great, driving it.
I didn't make the parade. I made the rodeos both nights. I was thanking everybody. Didn't make the parade.
All right, your time's up. It's not mine. And it was starting to overheat towards the end of the parade. I was hoping to get there. We did, but you know, and it's totally off the agenda, so we don't. It didn't have power steering. It's a cute little car, and the first time I get in it, I went to turn the wheels, and I thought the wheel was locked. I'm pulling on this thing, and it was a cute little car, and so my wife can quit calling me Knave. Anyway, okay. What?
Yep.
Yeah, sure. All right. Okay. We have proclamations, and we're going to do one for a group of people that I have a great deal of respect and actually love for. You have done so many things for our community. I was at a meeting this morning with our school. These are our educators. It is Educator Month, Appreciation Month. But as a side effect, aside of that, I'm on a Compass Committee, and I appreciate doing that. I see these people there and the hard work they are. You should go out and see our schools. They're a tremendous asset to our community and how beautiful they are going to be. And there's every one of them being redone, being built on, or improved for our children to have a great education. And these people here, it's probably, there's a whole bunch of them, but the ones that came tonight, I want to tell you I really appreciate what you do for us. And I can tell you that I've talked to many of your classes. I don't know how you have the stamina. These kids, honest to goodness, I go home, I told my wife, I'm exhausted after one day. And the cutest thing, and I'll quit talking, all right, because you want to talk, all right? So we planted trees and Arbor Day, and someone had the first grade class there, and it was so cute. And so I didn't mean to do it. She had them calm down. And I went over there and I said, who wants to be mayor? Well, that started the thing all over again. But again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So let's have Robin come on up. And would you mind introducing the school board? And these people are responsible for guiding us. And the young man there at the end is Adam. And then we're going to do it. I'm going to do a proclamation. I'll read a portion of it. And just introduce the members that you have there, and then I'll read the proclamation, okay?
Good evening, Mayor Troutman and members of the City Council. My name's Robin Reeser, as he obviously just said. I'm honored to serve as president of the Canyon City Schools Board of Education. This evening, I'm joined by our superintendent, Adam Hartman, Todd Albright, Brett Miley, and Molly Mary. In recognition of Educator Appreciation Month, you got to talk a lot, Preston, so it's my turn.
Your 3 minutes are up. No, go ahead. No,
We are deeply honored by your invitation to be here this evening. Canyon City Schools is comprised of approximately 600 dedicated professionals who embody our belief that we are all educators. Whether serving in the classroom in support roles or through district-wide services, each individual plays a vital role in the success and well-being of our students. On behalf of our board, superintendent, and the entire district, thank you for recognizing and celebrating the extraordinary people who make public education possible in our community.
well, thank you. I'd like to read the portion of the proclamation that I have signed, and we'll get to you. It says, whereas educators inspire critical thinking, creativity, and a love of learning, empowering students to achieve their dreams and contribute to society in meaningful ways. And in recognition of the tireless dedication, passion, and commitment that educators display every day in shaping the minds and hearts of future generations, encouraging all citizens to celebrate and show gratitude to the educators who inspire, support, and guide our students, fostering an environment of growth, learning, and opportunity for all, the City of Canyon City proclaims May as Educator Appreciation Month, and I did sign a proclamation for that. So I'd like to have all of you just crowd up here, and we're going to take a picture of us. Okay? Let's do it.
Come on, Canyon City Schools, let's go.
Your shirt has, I'm poking you because I have to see because I can't see you. I'm trying to make it go bigger. It's like you're showing. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Johns, how are you? How about you? All the schools, yeah, all the buildings. Oh, it's a disaster outside. Yeah. You know, it's even worse, Harrison got it.
20 years ago.
Thank you all. That young lady there is my great-granddaughter. And so I took the position of a politician of kissing babies and shaking hands. Finally. Okay. All right. We have another proclamation for correctional officers. Are there any correctional officers here? Seeing none? They're all correcting people. That's what they do. Hey, okay. Another proclamation. This is Police Officers of America proclamation for that. We'd ask the chief to come forward if we could. And I talked to the chief about having officers here, but apparently it was a big weekend in Canyon City, and we ran out of overtime dollars or something like that. But it was quiet. It was a good
I
weekend.
feel underrepresented, Mr. Mayor.
No, that's right.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend, and everybody that was off was working, and I decided not to have them have to come out here tonight, as much as some of them may have liked to, but wanted to give them their time off.
Well, we're always glad to see them. I appreciate that.
I do want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of council, for recognizing our law enforcement officers who continue to serve our community and sacrifice for our comfort and safety. By proclamation this evening, you are publicly thanking and honoring our brave troops. In recent weeks and months, we've witnessed crimes of violence perpetrated against our officers regionally and locally. Thankfully, we will not be adding any names to the memorial in Washington, D.C., but regrettably, the nation will add another 165 names to the wall for fallen peace officers again this year. So in honor of the brave men and women who lost their lives in the line of duty and those currently serving, we ask for just a few simple things, a little reflection and prayer from the community next week. And also, if you see our law enforcement officers out in the community, just please thank them for their service and start a little conversation with them and have a chat. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Chief Schick. I appreciate it. I appreciate your officers. I also signed a proclamation, and in part it says, whereas police officers of America have worked devotedly and selflessly on behalf of the people of this nation, regardless of the peril or hazard that duty represents to themselves. Therefore, the City of Canyon City proclaims May 11th through the 17th, 2025 as National Police Week. And again, a nice wave and a high would be a lot. They spend a lot of hours out there. So, hey, thanks again. Okay. We now have another proclamation, and I ask Butch to come forward for, this is Service Week, right? Public Service Week, sorry.
Public Service Recognition.
Public Service Recognition. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yes, sir.
Would you please go ahead?
Well,
Shut me up, please.
Whatever I can do for you, sir.
Thank you.
So, as you know, this week is Public Service Appreciation Week. This is our opportunity to recognize the city employees who do such a good job for the city and the residents 52 weeks a year, but this is the one time during the year that we have an opportunity to say thank you to them for that service that they perform 24/7. When you're a city employee and you're providing vital services, you're at a moment's call, and they answer those calls whenever they're made. And so I think this proclamation is most appropriate in recognizing the employees that serve the community.
Thank you, Butch. I would like to read what a portion of the proclamation says. It says, whereas Americans are served every single day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and city levels. These unsung heroes do the work that keeps our nation working. Therefore, the City of Canyon City proclaims May 4th through the 10th, 2025 as Public Service Recognition Week. And we certainly do thank everything that they do for us all the time.
And as some additional recognition, as many of you are aware, you were interviewed over the last couple of weeks. And we put those interviews and some other pieces together and made a short presentation that we would like to show now.
You dug mine too? No, you don't have to put mine up there, do you?
Sorry, they're all together.
They're all together?
We
Yeah,
can't
let's do
separate
it. That
out.
sounds great.
This was done by the HR staff and Brandon Merez from the library.
Located along the banks of the beautiful Arkansas River in Colorado, the city of Canyon City employs roughly 180 people from all walks of life. Several different departments make up such an experienced and capable team of public servants who work tirelessly to provide the services that we all can easily take for granted.
Just want to thank our city employees for all the work that they do serving our community and their dedication to their jobs and making sure that this is a great city to live in.
I think our employees do a great job at staying focused on what the citizens need and how their role helps provide that support for the city.
It's a credit to all the people that work in those departments that they do that work. You don't really ever see them. You know, they're out there every day doing that job.
The city's employees do really well utilizing what we have available to make it go as far as we can. We don't have the money that the bigger cities have, and we still get a lot accomplished.
I would say that the city employees do really well at working together as a group. So they do a great job of helping people that come to the community, interested in investing in the community, understand the needs of the community.
We try to ensure that all of our patrons are given a voice. We listen to them, make sure that they get what they're looking for.
A thing that the city employees do that they don't get enough credit for is they really do care about their job. I see a group that really cares about what they do and they care about doing a good job.
I think our customer service is phenomenal in every department. Every department that we have has a tremendous customer service model.
I think that a lot of our departments do a lot of great things behind the scenes, and they're not seen every day. We have a lot of departments that are just in the background, and they are doing the things that citizens just kind of expect. The parks are clean, the trash is picked up, and you don't necessarily see the work that goes behind the scenes, but everybody sees the result of those types of things.
I think our engineering streets department does amazing. People don't see what they have to deal with from the public.
You know, our parks maintenance building, getting the parks maintenance building a new facility that's better sized for the amount of staff and equipment they have, and that'll free up some really valuable prime space down on the river for other uses is going to be really huge for this community in the coming years.
These guys have actually stepped up to the plate. I mean, there was 3 of us out there at one time, and you know, through the transition that the city's gone through in this department is, you know, we're shorthanded, and both Chad and Scott have stepped up to the plate and filled in when I needed them to. And the city would be in trouble without them, basically.
I want to give a big shout out to the entire Parks Department. They're the hardest working people in the city. Don't tell other departments, but we are. They do a great job. We cover a tremendous amount of territory. They do a great job. Thank you.
I am super, super proud of our team. We have worked this entire last year well below minimal staffing standards, and they continue to rise up and answer a very high volume of call service effectively, safely, and with pride.
Me personally, I would like to thank the employees of the City of Canyon City. I know how hard they work, and a lot of it is thankless. It's amazing how much work that they put in. We can't thank them enough for the partnership that we have between the city and the Recreation District. So thank you, City of Canyon City employees, for all that you do and trying to make our community a better place to work and live.
Thank you, city employees. It's always a pleasure to work with you, and we are so happy that you are here dedicated to the betterment of Canyon City.
So as we approach Public Service Employees Recognition Week, I just wanted to take a minute to thank all of the city staff. Sometimes it can be a really thankless job that you do, even though you are serving the people of Canyon City and making all of their lives better. So thank you so much.
City employees, you are the best. We love you.
Thank you to city staff. You are all appreciated.
Thank you for all you do. You make the city great.
I want to thank city staff. Being mayor is always an interesting and tough job, but my gosh, I am so appreciative what you do for us, how well you do your job, and how much pride you have in it, and how you truly love this town. I see it, I feel it, and I know it. And I just want to thank you for that.
You are appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you, City of Canyon City. I'm proud to be a part of this team.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you to all the city employees.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Butch. And Ryan got 3 spots there.
They were shorter, though.
They were, okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's refreshing. That's just fun. That's some great people for our town, our city. What a great place to live. All right. We're going to move on to ask the administrator to review the agenda and the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Item 8A is to approve the minutes for the regular city council meeting on April 21st, the vision committee meeting on April 23rd, and the special meetings April 21st, which was an executive session, and April 22nd, which was the art committee. 8B authorizes the mayor to appoint Penny McPherson to the Historic Preservation Commission. 8C authorizes the city administrator to sign an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Florence for the use of the shooting range. 8D authorizes the city administrator to sign a service agreement with Ventosa Canine Kennels for acquisition of a new canine and training for the new handler. 8E authorizes the police department canine asset disposition. 8F authorizes the police department to dispose of bicycles in accordance with city policy. 8G awards bid 33-25 commercial pressure washer replacement to Monnet Inc. in an amount not to exceed, and we have a typo here, it should be $9,435. We have the 3 and the 4 transposed. And 8H is to receive and file cash disbursements and P-card disbursements.
Thank you, Ryan. Are there any additions or corrections of council who would like to comment? Whoa, you're a quiet bunch tonight, my goodness. All right, then I would ask
Mr.
for a
Mayor,
motion.
if
Pardon?
I might just.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're right, Emily, go ahead.
Are we talking about items on the consent agenda as needed at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that?
I would like to just mention in item 8H and the cash disbursements, I just thought because it was such a large amount of expenditure, and this is on digital page 53, the Quality of Life Fund shows an expenditure to Black Hills Energy in the amount of $675,000, $277.80. And just wanted to make note of that this is something that's been in the works for a while. I don't see, Leo's back there, right? I don't know if Leo wants to address, but I did get a response by email just providing a little bit of detail about what that expenditure is for. But Leo, that'd be great if you want to just address that, since it is a large expenditure.
Certainly. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, that expenditure was for the streetlights that we added along Highway 50 between 15th Street and McKenzie. So that work was completed about a month ago. We were invoiced all fully at the end. There was no upfront payment on any of that, so that's why it is such a large payment. roughly 80% of that total will be reimbursed by CDOT through the funds that they allocated. So it's we pay it first and then they will reimburse us for that.
And that was 23 new lights, is that right?
Yes, 23 new direct-powered streetlights along that corridor, spread out at intersections, driveways, things like that, where the highest need was for crashes and things of that nature.
Am I remembering correctly that there's a plan eventually to put in some more that we were considering, I think when we talked about it some time ago, possibly looking at solar for some of the fill-in places? Is there any update on that?
Yeah, this would be roughly 1/3 of the lighting that would be needed to bring the whole corridor up to standards. We've pursued some additional grant funds for that and been unsuccessful. Every time that we've tried to go back to the same grants that paid for this first phase of it, we haven't been awarded that. So we just received notice last week that we were unsuccessful in our safety grant that we applied for CDOT for funds.
So that's kind of stay tuned then for the rest of that. Okay.
It's to be continued.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Amy?
Thanks. I just wanted to thank CCPD for taking the time to advertise the bicycles to ensure that any citizens who were able to recognize them were able to come in and get them. And then for going the extra mile to figure out local charity in Mercy Today Ministries, the Veterans Administration, and then also a Fremont County business who were able to kind of in that order make use of what was left so that the remaining bikes can kind of see a new life in our community. So just thanks for all of the extra effort that CCPD went through on that front.
I had a question on that. Was that a period of time that those were collected? Is like, do you do it every year, or was it just when your stockade gets full out there? Chief?
Typically, Mr. Mayor, we will pursue this initiative when we run out of space to store bikes.
Okay. And while you're here, I wanted to mention that we are going to have 9 new graduates of the Police Academy on the 15th.
Yes, sir.
And that's means we'll be pretty much fully staffed.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. That has taken years, literally.
It has taken quite a while, and we've went through, I believe, right at about 200 applicants to get there.
So, well, congratulations.
We try to pick quality folks, and our team has worked very hard at vetting these folks and getting them into the academy and getting them through.
I will attend that.
I am very glad that you're going to be in attendance. It's a big night for us.
So that's just great. So,
I'm sorry? The graduation's on the 15th. Next week. Well, absolutely. Come on out. Yeah, Pikes Peak Community College.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Chief. So I'm looking for a motion and a second, right?
Okay. I have a question. I have a question. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand. It's in the left hand. Go right ahead.
Okay. This is a question for the chief. And I was just wondering, I noticed that there was some challenges with the one dog, the canine, and that we were going to trade him in. And I was just wondering, I have worked with professional working dogs before, and I just wondered, going forward, is there a way that there's some kind of cross-training evaluation that's available amongst police departments who have canine programs, that perhaps we could have someone from the outside come in and after a dog's trained, perhaps make, recommendations that if there's something that's lacking, that we could catch it when the dog is younger and earlier in the training process.
If I understand your question, it has to do with recycling our dog?
Well, yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying that the challenges with training, and this has come up before from a past, I think, administration of your office, but is there any way within the canine professionals and amongst police departments, would there be a way that someone could come in and perhaps do an evaluation and see if there are challenges with individual pairs?
With regards to the canine and the trainers, well, with regards to the canine, when we purchased the canine's vetted by the vendor. They look for the traits that are unique to a efficient working police dog, and so we rely on those evaluations pretty heavily. And then we send our officers, the canine handlers, out to pair them with these dogs to make sure that it's a good fit for our handler. I don't know if is that answering your question?
My question is, moving forward, once the dog and the handler are in place, Chief,
Yes.
is it possible for some kind of peer review to make sure that they're on the right path?
Yes, and yes, ma'am. And I can tell you that there's the Colorado Police Canine Working Dog Association. This particular dog was pursuing that certification at the time that this extended time away from work came about, and so we weren't able to complete that pursuit. So there are a number of entities out there that we can have our dogs and our handlers assessed, and the gold standard is the Colorado Working Dog Association.
And Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but our handlers also work with multiple agencies doing training events and ongoing training throughout the year as well.
We do. We work with Colorado Springs. We work with Douglas County. So we leverage those opportunities wherever we can with reputable agencies.
Right. I just want to, to make sure that we have opportunities along that training path for intervention and help. If there's something that needs to be reinforced. So it seems
Sure.
like you are doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
I was interested in that, just so we can flag some things before they get to the point where it's a lot more work to fix it.
Absolutely. And I coming back to this situation, rather unexpected, and our capacity challenges with the staffing issues that we've had over the last year or so certainly contributed to this matter.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Andrea. Amy?
I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, please go right ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to move that we approve the consent agenda modifying 8G to be in an amount not to exceed $9,435 and approving the agenda as written.
Second.
Tim, thank you. Are there any discussions on that motion and second? Seeing none, would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmischer?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye. Okay, thank you all. We're going to move into a public hearing. I'd invite...
Administrator report?
Oh, that's the second time I've done that to you. I am so sorry, Ryan.
That's all right.
Ryan, could we have the administrator's report?
Yes, sir. You have, Mayor and Council, you have the written report. There are a couple things that have happened since the report was written or expand on the report. The first is our Public Art Committee. We have a vacancy, and we've received 3 applications to fill that vacancy. I'd like to know the wish of council. Do you want to set up a interview for that, or would you prefer to have the Public Art Committee vet those candidates and bring a recommendation back to City Council the way we do with historic preservation?
Number 2 sounds okay, or someone like to comment on that?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Great. Want to make City Council and the public aware that we will have a memorial garden for Suzanne Lasha over at the library. The ribbon cutting for that is going to take place on May 16th. I believe that's a Friday at 9 a.m. The Black Hills Clark Station site is on the agenda for the PUC this coming Wednesday. We do not know the context of why it's on the agenda. We're hoping that it's to hear the disposition and move forward and give us a decision, but It is the PUC, and this is the first time that they're hearing it, so we will follow that very closely to see what happens and what the next steps are. Let's see here. We have the we're working with the rec district. The rec district has sent out RFPs and received responses for the design of the pool. We had Councilmember Dennehy and Councilmember Tracy were on the pool committee. Do you both want to continue to be on the pool committee to review those RFPs?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I will send those out this evening, and you'll have some RFPs and a scoring sheet to review. And then lastly, I'd like to thank the Blossom, everybody that helped out with Blossom. It was another very successful event. Unfortunately, we did not have the carnival, but it does sound like everything else went off without a hitch. The parade was very well attended. It sounds like the rodeos nights were well attended, and the craft fairs also. So I want to thank everybody, Blossom Committee, and everybody else, all the volunteers that make this event happen every year. It is a lot of work. There's a lot of planning and effort that goes into it, and thank the city staff as well that assisted with that. And happy to take any questions.
Any?
Thanks. I have two. Will the PUC hearing be able to be watched virtually, and is that information that you can send around?
Yeah, they usually broadcast those similar to the way we do, and I can send that information, absolutely.
They have their own YouTube channel
Yep.
where they broadcast.
Very exciting. I'm assuming that isn't something that we can speak at, but rather it's more of an observation.
I believe it is more of just an observation. There were no interveners in this particular case, so
Great.
Hopefully that helps streamline it.
Okay. And then my second question was just following up on Ms. Javernick's comments at the start of our meeting. The walking around downtown right now is quite challenging if you're trying to get from one side of the street to the other. Is there a way over the next, we'll be in a construction zone for probably another 3 to 4 weeks.
About 3 weeks, yeah.
Is there a way to have those pedestrian crosswalks re-emerge? I think in the first couple of weeks, it was a lot easier to get from one side to the other.
Yeah, in the first phase, especially when there was a lot of work that was happening with the utilities, there were some gravel crosswalks that were put in place. Leo, do you mind coming up and kind of give an update on where we're at? I know, the team is working on trying to get some road base down, and some of the site, especially there along Highway 50 and First Streets, to a place where, just before paving, where it's a little bit more hard surface for crossings and things like that. But
yeah, we did put some temporary crossings in on Friday that were in effect during Blossom Fest. The issue we kind of run into is it safe for pedestrians to cross that construction zone when I've got trucks and tractors and everything going up and down it all day? It's not always the safest, so I always hesitate a little bit to encourage people to cross where it may not be the safest to cross. So in general, we try to tell people to park behind, and the sidewalk in front of the businesses on the north side is open, but we don't want too much crossing of Main Street while there's a lot of heavy construction and trucks back and forth.
The other thing that Ms. Javernick mentioned was a parking map, and we're working on getting that finalized. There's still drafts, actually during this meeting or right before this meeting, there was another draft that came out. So we're hoping to get that published as soon as tomorrow.
That would be great. I think that would be really helpful to have folks better understand how to get to those two parking lots. With that in mind, I guess it was disappointing to hear that construction vehicles are still parking in the very limited spots that we do have available. Is there a way to kind of tighten that up more?
Yeah, we can reiterate that. We have a lot of subcontractors coming in that maybe don't hear it the last time we talked about it, and they're coming back to the job to, place electric conduits or irrigation or whatever it may be. So it's always good for us to bring that as a constant reminder. We have a progress meeting on Wednesday, and I'll pass that on to make sure it's an agenda item at our progress meeting.
Thanks, appreciate it.
And I would ask that if we do have business owners that are seeing that, to Is it Sam or Ted that's running the project? It
Either
doesn't
of
matter.
them, yeah.
You know, please reach out to city engineering staff. They should have their business cards. You know, Sam's been really good about getting into those businesses on a regular basis and talking to folks. Please let them know if it is an issue during those times.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Now, I'm going to open the public hearing. It is, I'd invite the city administrator to new, for a liquor license at 701 Main Street. Would you like to comment on that?
I will actually pass it over to the city clerk to give the staff report.
Can you officially open the public hearing?
I'm officially opening the public hearing.
Thank you, sir. This has been a challenging liquor license, not from their part, from my part, because I have not been in the building for 8 weeks. And so they've been wonderful to work around my time schedule and trying to get things in. And so I apologize. This has not been the smoothest on my part. They were great. We've got everything into the state. I have not heard back from the state yet, and I assume I will in a couple days. They're changing things up so that they won't let me know anything until we send the signed form in. Everything is turned in, good to go, and they've been wonderful.
Thank you.
In my
Is there
absence.
anyone here representing the organization?
And that might be my fault. We had some back and forth, and I did not remind them and tell them for sure tonight. So that is my fault, not theirs. Please don't hold that against them. Like I said, it's been rough on my part for this specific. It's the first liquor license I did when I was not here in person.
We're not going to break your other foot.
I appreciate that. That'd be 8 more weeks
well,
of being gone.
That's okay. Okay, then will that come back up on the agenda again, or just if the state approves it, we're okay?
I don't think they have to be here, do they?
No, but there is information in your packet that needs to be entered into evidence. Typically, it's entered into evidence by the applicant, but if this was a mistake or an oversight by us, I think as long as the council admits the evidence into the record and makes sure there's no evidence to be presented tonight in opposition, I think the council could, if it desired to do so, approve the license without their presence.
Thank you, Corey. Any comment on that from council?
And I had nothing come in negative from any public, positive or negative. I had nothing come in.
Emily.
Thanks. Just for our own clarity and maybe the general public too, we don't have that many new liquor licenses that come along, but I wanted to be clear in my own mind that these are the same people that have a liquor license at St. Cloud, and this is for a different location. Is it the same kind of license? And then I assume there's no issue that it's just across the street.
Correct. It's the same kind of license. It's a hotel and restaurant. It's totally separate because they are not connected, and they have the same type at Fremont Provisions.
And so what is, remind us what the requirement is for a hotel and restaurant license. They have to serve food or a certain kind of food or a certain amount, or
They have
what are
to
those?
they have to serve food. It has to be a certain amount, but I cannot tell you that off the top of my head.
I believe it's 40%,
Is it
as I recall.
40%?
I'm going off of memory, but yes,
40%,
and it can't be prepared food. It actually has to be prepared on site. Whereas with a tavern, you can have, for example, sandwiches. This is an H&R license that requires it to have a kitchen and food prepared on site as part of the hotel and restaurant liquor license.
And what does that 40% represent? 40% of
Food sales, yes.
They chose.
The total sales is food?
Yes.
Gotcha, thank you.
And I'm going off of memory. I can probably
Yeah.
check quickly if I need to.
Okay. Someone else maybe has a question. There's one more I have, but I have to recall it here just a moment.
You recall any?
I was just going to share, I believe that that the intention, and correct me if you know more, but I believe that the intention is that it would be a kind of gourmet coffee bar with a fenced-in lawn with yard games, and then I'm assuming would serve alcohol then in the evenings. So that may be how, because I think if they have a kitchen already, it's a really, really small one, but I'm assuming the coffee part would make up a significant chunk of the sales.
Does coffee count as food as far as the law is concerned?
It does in the morning.
Well, I'm not talking about you and me.
I think it does, but the law doesn't.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
Part of my 3 squares.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to bring food over from the restaurant, it would have to be prepared on site there?
Yes, I mean, so, yes. They could do both, but they do need to have it prepared. It can't be just prepared food from elsewhere.
I guess just to kind of.
And it's 25%, not 40%. Just
25%, thanks, okay. It would be, since we don't have the applicant here, it'd be helpful, you know, sometimes we have the general questions of applicants like, you know, tell us what you know about the laws that you have to follow as the holder of this license if it's granted. And so it's a little bit hard to deal with it when we don't have all of that. I'm not sure what to do about that.
Yeah, I would say because they have multiple establishments with liquor licenses, and we have not had any issues with those establishments that, you know, there's good evidence that they know how to handle the liquor license appropriately.
The person managing this site, though, is different, I assume, and do we know if they've gone through proper training to learn the laws that they need to know?
The person that is the manager for this location is Carly Bullis, and yes, she has.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could add just briefly, so technically the criteria that council needs to determine in order to grant a hotel and restaurant liquor license is whether the licensee is eligible, and so you have information in your packet as to eligibility, and then whether the needs and desires of the neighborhood are not currently being met by the existing liquor license establishments. And you can certainly glean from the evidence in the record that you have a basis for making that finding. As it relates to the issue that Councilmember Tracy identified, it is certainly, I think, important for council to know that someone is going to be a responsible vendor and understands the liquor licensing laws. But frankly, it is not one of the criteria that council has to rely on from an evidentiary standpoint. If someone doesn't have that experience and then in the unlikely event has a violation, the questions about their knowledge of the law is relevant as an aggravating factor in the future if they were to have a violation. But at the front end, it is not technically one of the criteria for a liquor license.
Okay. Any further Emily?
Yeah, I stumbled on my other question. I think in the lease, I'm not sure if this was in the lease extension that we got today by email, but in the lease it mentions 2 locations that are being leased. One of them there in the old Standard Oil building, and then the other one is 110 South 7th, which I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm assuming that's not related to this liquor license application, but I just wanted to verify that.
It is not. If they would do something, and I don't even know what that building is, it would have to be an entirely separate license.
Okay.
They can only have one per location
At that
unless
address.
they're connected, yes.
Got it, thank you.
John?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we...
Hold on, can we close the public hearing first?
Well, and before we close it, let's make sure there's no one here in opposition.
Is there anyone here in opposition to the liquor license for the Standard Oil building? They're not rushing up here. Okay. So I'm going to hereby close the public hearing and entertain a motion and a second. John?
Well, as I understood it, we kind of have to do 2 motions. One is the motion I was prepared to make, which is to admit attachment 1 into evidence for this procedure.
Okay.
That would be great.
So
moved.
So moved.
I'll second.
Jerry, second. Thank you. Would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmischer?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Okay. Would you like to make the second motion?
I will. I move that we approve the new liquor license, hotel and restaurant license for Standard Oil Coffee Company located at 701 Main Street.
Second. Second. Kathy, second. Any discussions on that motion? Would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmischer?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
So discussion, it's updated traffic schedule, Main Street speed limit. I invite the administrator to discuss that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I see Leo coming up to the podium. This discussion was, this item was born out of discussion with downtown merchants about the speeds downtown. It's currently set at 25 miles per hour. We're looking at reducing that to 20 miles per hour. And I will have Leo talk about the procedures that we went through to come to that determination.
Yep, thank you. So setting speed limits other than statutory speed limits on street is power and authority that we are granted as a city via our code. One of the requirements is that we conduct an engineering study to support that. We can't just set a speed limit at whatever we want. So as Ryan mentioned, this was something that we wanted to look at. We conducted a speed study. There's a draft in there. The speed study is actually about a year old. We talked with downtown business merchants and the chamber, I want to say last summer, and kind of decided that there was a lot of support for this, at least in those groups, but that we wanted to wait until this Main Street project was kind of coming in to focus and finishing so we could kind of roll these things out together. So without getting too far into detail, the speed study says that a 20 mile per hour speed limit on Main Street would be fine. It meets the context of the street. The 85th percentile speed, so the speed that 85% of the vehicles are driving already on Main Street, is pretty close to 20 miles an hour anyways, which is the old standard of doing things. And it would be my recommendation that a 20 mile per hour speed limit would be appropriate between Highway 50, essentially First Street, and then 9th Street along Main Street in the downtown historic corridor.
Thank you, Leo. Any further discussion of staff or of council? Amy?
Thanks. I have one comment to kind of reserve something for future discussion, and then I have one question. The comment is within the model traffic control schedule 1 on our through streets. This is obviously pretty old and already has some outdated information, namely that Kuntz no longer connects to Fowler. So west, east, major through street 7 and 8 are no longer correct. So I think I understand that city staff is looking at possibly updating our entire major through street schedule next year, and would just ask that we make sure to pay close attention to kind of how streets have changed over the past 20 years.
Yep, understood. And yes, we will definitely look into that.
Awesome. And then my question is, and apologies for not flagging this earlier, I neglected to fold down that particular page. But in section 2 of your memo on the Main Street speed study, it notes that the western end of Main Street between 2nd and 4th, that the center left turn lane will be eliminated with the future reconstruction and streetscaping project. Is that the left turn lane to go onto 3rd Street?
It's the center lane that used to be used for delivery parking that existed in that, I think it would be the 300 block and the 200 block of Main Street. It used to exist throughout the entirety of Main Street is my understanding, and as we've done those streetscaping projects, that's the space that's been eliminated to make extra sidewalk space.
Okay, so we're not getting rid of the left turn lane onto 3rd Street. Like, that is not part of any future plan.
There will just be one lane in each direction on Main Street. So there is no separate left turn lane from Main Street to go onto 3rd.
Okay, but people will still be allowed to turn
They can still make the
onto
movement.
3rd.
There's just no separate space for
Okay.
them. Yes.
And then do we have any concerns from folks about deliveries and kind of where those will occur? Or are we envisioning future need for additional deliveries in alleyways once those are gone? Or have those conversations factored into the conversations that you're having with the Main Street business owners to kind of prepare?
Yeah, those conversations took place at the front end of this project. And Leo, I don't know if you recall offhand any of those comments?
Master Printers was the one that was most impacted. They used to do a lot of UPS and FedEx deliveries out front. It's my understanding they've been able to switch most of those to alley deliveries at this time. They expect to still potentially need to do some front side deliveries, but limited mostly to the Christmas and kind of their busy time of year, which we told them we could probably work with them on loading zones or something short term to assist them on those very small specific needs.
So loading zones by blocking off parking spaces?
Yeah, for a very specific need on a specific time, day kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, anyone else? Discussions? If hearing or seeing none, I'd entertain a motion. Oops, Emily?
Get my laptop going here, thank you. I move that we approve the updates to the traffic code schedules as presented.
Second.
Second, thank you. Any discussions on that motion? None? Would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Thank you all. So B, it is 11B, the second reading and adoption by title only of ordinance 4, Series 2025, entitled, an ordinance approving one or more loans from the Colorado Water Resources and Power Development Authority, CWRPDA, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $7 million, authorizing the forms and execution of the loan agreements and governmental agency bonds to evidence such loans and prescribing other details in connection therewith. We'd have the administrator discuss that.
Yes, sir. This is a second reading. I am not aware of any additional public comments. Leo or Tammy?
I have not received any.
And staff would recommend passing on second reading.
Okay. Thank you. Any discussions from council? Then I would entertain a motion and a second.
Okay.
That means someone has to make a motion. Who, what? Oh, sorry, John. No, Emily. Emily.
I move that we approve ordinance number 4, series of 2025 on second reading.
Second.
Second, John, thank you so much. Any discussion on that? Would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Well, thank you. Let's move on to C, introduction and first reading by title only of ordinance 5, series 2025, entitled, an ordinance of the City of Canyon City approving an amendment addendum to the master lease agreement with U.S. Bank Corp. Government Leasing and Financing Incorporated for police vehicles. I invite the administrator to discuss that, if you would.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is a lease agreement for 3 additional police vehicles, and we do have our finance director, Tammy Nordyke, here to give a report.
So this is the first reading of Ordinance 5, Series 2025, approving the addendum to the master lease agreement with U.S. Bank Corp. Government Leasing and Financing for police vehicles. The 2025 adopted budget does include the purchase of 3 vehicles for the police department utilizing a lease purchase agreement. Finance did receive 3 quotes for financing. U.S. Bank Corp. was the most competitive with a rate of 4.6%. The payment will be $13,300.99 paid quarterly for 3 years. The principal is $150,000 with anticipated interest of $9,611.94 over the life of the lease. And because it is a lesser amount, we did opt to go with a 3-year term versus a 5-year term. And legal did review the documents.
Okay. Any questions of Tammy? Oh, come on. We've got to ask Tammy questions. No, sorry. Thank you, Tammy. Then and if there's any questions from council, if not, I entertain a motion and a second. Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we approve on first reading ordinance 5, series of 2025.
I'll second.
Second, Jerry. Thank you. Any discussions on that motion? Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Well, thank you all for this evening. We have now completed a fun-filled session. We are now adjourned.
Thank you.